It usually hits you when you're by yourself. Maybe it's late, you're lying in bed scrolling on your phone, and your thoughts won't stop. Your chest feels hollow, like there's something missing. You try to convince yourself it's just desire, just something physical. You tell yourself it's normal, everyone does it. One more video, one more fantasy, one more moment pretending someone's there with you. But if you were truly honest, deep down you'd recognize the feeling that never really leaves. It's not satisfaction you feel, not even in the moment. It's an ache, like you're trying to fill something that doesn't have a bottom. You think it's about sex, you think it's about wanting someone, but it's not. It's something way deeper. It's not the body you're chasing, it's connection, it's warmth. It's some kind of closeness that you can't seem to name. Carl Jung saw this long before we had terms for it. He said, people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. And that's what this is. This craving, this hunger, it's not about pleasure. It's about escape. Escape from that heavy quiet inside you, the one that gets louder when no one else is around. You say you want her. You say it's desire. But really what you're chasing is the feeling of being alive. You want to feel like you matter. You want to feel noticed. You want to feel something more than this constant surface-level emptiness. And because facing yourself feels too heavy, too complicated, you go after the next quick hit. A photo, a fantasy, a moment, a temporary high. But once it's over, you're still there, back to square one, back to that same quiet, that same empty space inside you. Lust isn't the real issue. It's the sign pointing to something else. It's your inner self trying to get your attention. Underneath it all, there's a loss of connection with your own body, your purpose, your emotions, with you. So, instead of doing the hard work of looking inward, you reach out to anything that gives the illusion of closeness. You start believing that being wanted is the same as being loved, that control is the same as connection, that a moment of attention means you matter. Jung would say that this is your shadow showing up, that part of you that didn't get the love it needed, now searching for it in all the wrong places. And this isn't just about sex or lust. It shows up in other ways too. The need to constantly text someone, even when the conversation is shallow. Watching things you know won't help you, at hours when you should be resting. Replaying old memories in your head just to feel like you meant something to someone, even if it was brief. You're not chasing people. You're running from loneliness. That loneliness lives just beneath your skin, always there, always humming in the background. But to sit with it, to really feel it, would mean facing things you've been avoiding for a long time. It would mean admitting that you're not just looking for release. You're looking for something to pull you out of the numbness. You're reaching for the things you weren't allowed to need: closeness, safety, understanding. Jung didn't judge the people who came to him feeling this way. He didn't label their behavior as wrong or shameful. He listened, because he understood the real question wasn't, why do I feel this desire? The question was always, what pain is this desire trying to cover up? That's the question we avoid, and it's the one we need the most. If you never ask it, you'll stay stuck in the same loop, always chasing, never arriving, always wanting, never feeling fulfilled. Always imagining closeness but never really being seen. Here's the part no one talks about. It's not more pleasure you need, it's more presence. It's not another body you need. It's a return to your own. Because the part of you that keeps looking outwards is the same part that was never welcomed inward. Jung's Red Book wasn't really about sex or power or controlling anything outside of you. It was about wholeness. It was about picking up the pieces of yourself that got left behind. It was about returning to what's real, even if that realness feels empty at first. So next time you feel that urge, that pull, before you open another app or send that message or fall into that craving, stop. Ask yourself, is this really desire? Or is it loneliness wearing a mask? And what would you discover if, just for once, you didn't run from that question? Jung never treated lust like something shallow. He saw it for what it really is. A kind of spiritual message, a signal that something within you has been ignored for too long. When you don't face your own inner life, desire doesn't come from a full heart, it comes from a fragmented one. You're not craving because you're bad, you're craving because you're split. part of you is disconnected from the rest. He once wrote in the Red Book, "I must learn that the dregs of my thought, my dreams are the speech of my soul." That means even the wild, confusing, irrational parts of your mind are trying to say something. So when that sudden desire shows up, that heavy craving, Jung would say it's not really about the person you're thinking of, it's about the part of yourself you've lost touch with. In Jung's view, there's a feminine side within every man, called the anima. When this part of you stays unconscious, you lose your ability to feel. You forget how to let go. You don't know how to care without needing something in return. So your soul tries to fill in the gap. And it does that by projecting. You project the softness, the openness, the care you've buried onto her. Not because she is those things, but because she reminds you of something inside yourself that you haven't felt in a long time. The more disconnected you are from that inner part of you, the more powerful the projection becomes. That's why it feels so intense, so overwhelming. You're not just thinking about her, you're seeing a mirror. And in that mirror, you're searching for a version of you that once knew how to feel, that once knew how to be soft and vulnerable and whole. But now that part of you feels distant, maybe even lost. So you chase what looks like it from the outside, but no one out there can give you what's missing in here. That doesn't mean relationships are pointless or that attraction is wrong. It means the first step is always coming back to yourself. Not the version you show to everyone, but the version you left behind when things got hard. The version that never got the attention it needed. The version that's still waiting for you to listen. So when you find yourself craving her touch, her body, her softness, what you're really after isn't sex. What you're chasing is something you lost a long time ago. You're chasing a part of yourself, hoping to find it through someone else. That's why it stings so much. It's not just about not getting what you want. It's that even when you do, it doesn't fill you. Because what you're after isn't out there. You're trying to reconnect with a piece of your soul that got left behind, and no matter how hard you try, you can't reach it through someone else's skin. The more distant you are from your own inner self, your anima, the more restless and hollow your desire becomes. It turns into something frantic. You find yourself scrolling for hours, jumping from image to image, person to person, fantasy to fantasy. You hold on to any memory that gave you a spark. Even the smallest reminder of warmth feels like something, anything, better than the emptiness. But every time it's over, you feel further away from who you really are. Jung once said, "This is how the shadow seduces you, not with evil, but with illusion." You're not seeing the other person clearly. You're seeing your own hidden pain, your buried feelings, the softness you forgot you had. And because you've never taken the time to make peace with those parts of yourself, you try to find them in someone else. You try to grab hold of them in a physical way. But lust without love, without real connection, always falls apart. Because no person can carry your old wounds. No one can fix the parts of you that you haven't even acknowledged. And no moment of pleasure is strong enough to mend what you haven't dared to feel. So what do? You start wanting more. You look for stronger stimulation, new faces, louder feelings. Not because you're greedy, but because your soul isn't just searching anymore. It's starving. You think the fix is out there, more videos, more people, more distractions. But really, you're just moving faster inside a trap. The more you run, the further you get from what you actually need. Jung believed the only way out of this loop is to stop asking, "What turns me on?" and start asking, "What part of me have I turned off?" When you stop ignoring your real feelings, your fears, your dreams, your needs, lust starts to shift. It doesn't go away. It just becomes something deeper, something creative, even sacred. It stops being a trap and becomes a doorway. This is what he meant by integration, pulling back the parts of you that were hidden or forgotten and bringing them into the light. That fire inside you, the one you keep trying to put out or control, it's not there to punish you. It's there to wake you up. It's not about guilt. It's not about being scared. It's about realizing just how far you've wandered from yourself. You don't just want someone to touch you. You want to be understood. You want to be felt, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually. You want to know you matter. And maybe most of all, you want to feel seen by your own self again. Here's what Jung asks us to face, the part no one really wants to hear. Until you face your soul, your desire will always feel off. It'll feel like it's leading you somewhere, but it never does. You'll keep getting close, but never closer. You'll keep falling into situations that seem like love, but feel empty. You'll keep ending up with people who don't feel like home, because the home you miss is inside you. It's the place you stopped visiting, maybe years ago. So the next time that rush of desire shows up, don't run from it, but also don't follow it without thinking. Pause. Don't shut it down, but ask it, what are you really trying to show me? The moment you stop letting the feeling control you and instead start listening to it, something shifts. You don't go numb, you become more alive. And in that awareness, you can start choosing differently. You can choose connection, not escape, something real, not something hollow. You can stay with what's actually there, instead of disappearing into what's not. That's the kind of love that lust can never offer you. And yet it's the thing your heart is really looking for. You keep telling yourself it's harmless, that it's just a need, that it's something small, something everyone does. And maybe that's how it starts. But over time it begins to change you. Not all at once, not in a way you can point to easily, but slowly, in quiet ways that pile up. You don't feel as deeply. You don't connect like you used to. You start confusing people's attention for affection. You think excitement means intimacy. You stop feeling like yourself. That's what Jung feared the most. Not lust itself, but what happens when it becomes disconnected from your inner world. Because when that happens, it doesn't just mess with how you see others. It breaks how you see yourself. At first, it's the small stuff. You avoid eye contact. You stop opening up. You hide behind conversations that don't go anywhere. You laugh, but it doesn't feel real. Then it gets heavier. You lose drive, not just sexually, but in general. You don't feel like creating. You don't feel like building anything. You lose your connection to purpose. This craving, when it goes unchecked, eats away at the same energy that was meant to build your life. It takes from the same source that's supposed to keep you going, keep you reaching, keep you creating. It tricks you into thinking you're living, when really you're just reacting. That hit of desire becomes your shortcut to feeling alive. But that shortcut has a price, and the cost is your soul. Jung talked about this cycle, this loop that happens when we feed our urges without really thinking. It goes like this. Something triggers you. You react. You get temporary relief. Then you feel guilt. Then it starts all over again. And each time you go through that loop, the part of your mind that drives it gets stronger. It starts to feel automatic, like this is just how you are. But it's not who you are. It's who you became after you forgot how to feel comfortable in your own skin. You weren't born needing constant stimulation. You weren't born addicted to images or attention. You were born needing warmth, real closeness, not touch, but connection. Not control, but care. But when you didn't get those things in real life, you went looking for them in fantasy. Because in your imagination, you get to control the story. You're never turned away. You're always wanted. You're always in charge. But here's what that costs you. You lose your ability to show up in the real world. You stop being able to sit in silence. You struggle with waiting. You forget how to try again after something doesn't go your way. You stop taking risks in real relationships. Because fantasy never asks you to be brave. It never asks you to be patient. It never teaches you how to grow through discomfort. Lust teaches you how to leave, not how to stay. And so you end up stuck, chasing moments that keep you from your own heart. Looking for someone, anyone, who gives you even a flicker of feeling, just enough to help you forget how far you've drifted. And maybe the hardest part in all of this, the part no one talks about, is that deep down, you start to blame yourself. Not out loud, not clearly, but in small, quiet ways. You get angry at yourself for being weak. You start thinking there's something wrong with you. You feel ashamed, not because you're doing something bad, but because you know somewhere deep down that you're not really living the way you want to live. You know there's more in you, but you don't know how to get back to it. You keep telling yourself there's something wrong with you, that you're too weak, that maybe you're broken in some way, that real love just isn't meant for you. But Carl Jung would have seen it differently. He wouldn't say you're broken, just disconnected. disconnected from your inner feminine energy, the part of your soul that knows how to comfort, how to nurture, how to feel.
You've got fire, sure, but no warmth behind it.
You've got desire, but no depth. And when these pieces of you stay separated, when they never reconnect, lust can slowly turn in on itself. It doesn't always explode outward. Sometimes it just wears you down from the inside. You start betraying the things you once stood for. You tell yourself this was the last time, only to find yourself back in the same place the very next night. The loop becomes automatic. Your thoughts get clouded. Your heart feels distant. The dreams that once pushed you forward now seem flat. Nothing satisfies anymore because everything real starts to feel too quiet compared to the rush you've trained yourself to need. You chase a high that barely lasts, and what's left afterward lingers too long. You want more and more, but feel less and less. Jung called this psychic possession. That's when a certain emotional pattern takes over, when you're no longer the one choosing, you're being driven. And in this case, it's not you chasing lust. It's the part of you that was abandoned, the part of you that learned early on that the only way to be held was through craving. It's the loneliness, the unmet needs, the younger version of you who just wanted someone to see him. And because he never found that safety, he keeps searching for it the only way he knows how, through fantasy, through the body of someone else, through a touch that can never stay. And that's how the cycle continues. You try to connect, but it falls apart. You get close to someone, but end up pushing them away. You don't know how to be still with discomfort, so you reach for a screen. You can't stand the quiet, so you drown it out. You can't face your own reflection, so you lose yourself in someone else's body. But the thing you might not realize, not until much later, is that lust doesn't just get in the way of love. It pulls you away from your own becoming. It drains you, not just emotionally, but creatively, mentally, spiritually. You stop focusing, you stop caring, you stop feeling like yourself. And after a while, a question starts to creep in: why don't I feel anything anymore? That's the part no one warns you about. Not shame, not punishment, just numbness. And Jung believed that kind of numbness, where you stop growing, stop listening, stop hearing the whisper inside that says this isn't it, is one of the most dangerous states to live in. The truth is, you don't have to shame yourself to heal. You don't need to run from your desires. You just need to ask something different. Instead of, how do I get rid of this craving? Ask, what is this trying to tell me about myself? Jung never told anyone to kill the fire inside them. He wanted people to understand it. Because lust, when ignored and pushed down, turns into addiction. But when you sit with it, when you face it honestly, it becomes something powerful, a path to change. That journey doesn't start by shutting down. It begins by waking up, really waking up. No more pretending, no more excuses, no more telling yourself this is just who I am. Because that's not true. You're not broken. You're lost. You've used lust as a way to avoid the deeper map. But what you've been chasing, that feeling, that escape, it was never really about her. It was never about the videos, the messages, or the temporary relief. What you've been looking for this whole time has always been your soul. So how do you even start turning back? The first step isn't something flashy or loud. It's simple. Stay. Not with anyone else. Stay with yourself. Stay with the discomfort. Stay in your body, in the tension, in the moment that usually sends you reaching for a way out. When that urge rises, when you want to scroll or click or escape, pause, don't act. Just breathe. It will feel hard at first, maybe even unbearable. You'll twitch, you'll reach, you'll want to run. But if you hold on just a moment longer than usual, something changes. You'll start to feel something new, a quiet that isn't empty, but full, a silence that isn't dead but sacred. And from inside that space, something small will whisper to you, I miss you. That's the part of you you abandoned. The child who thought he had to earn love by being good, by being desirable. The part of you that thought being touched meant being seen. The man who forgot that craving doesn't make him weak, it makes him human. But it also makes him responsible for listening to what those cravings are really saying. Jung never said the shadow should be destroyed. He said it should be brought into the light. That means you don't fight your darkness. You sit with it. You ask it what it wants to show you. And over time, you invite it back into your life in a different way. That's how healing starts. So what does it look like? Maybe it starts when you write again, not to impress anyone, but just to feel what's been buried. Maybe it shows up when you create, not for likes or validation, but because it's how your soul breathes. Maybe it means going outside and letting yourself cry without needing to explain why. Maybe it's placing your hand over your heart and asking yourself, what do I truly need right now? And then actually waiting for the answer. And you don't just do this once, you do it every day. Because healing isn't about fixing something broken. It's about building a relationship with the parts of you you stopped listening to. Over time, those urges don't vanish, but they don't control you anymore either. You don't fear them. You understand them. You meet them with patience. You say, I hear you. And then you go deeper. You start to realize the fire never wanted to destroy you. It was always saying the same thing. I want love. I want connection. I want to come home. And you don't have to feel guilty anymore. You don't have to keep proving something. You don't have to carry all this alone. When you reconnect with the anima, the inner feminine inside you, you stop chasing it through other people. You live it. You feel again. You allow softness back into your life. You don't push your emotions away. You respect them. You become grounded. And people feel that. You don't have to try to be attractive. You just are. Because now you're whole. So when someone finally shows up, you won't try to own them. You won't need to. You won't beg to be saved or ask them to fill the parts of you you've ignored. Because you've already done that work. You met yourself in the silence. You return to the places inside that lust could never heal. And that's where your soul was waiting all along. So if something in this feels real to you, if it hits a part of you that's been quiet for too long, then that's the sign. You've already started the return. Sit with it. Let it speak. And think about this. What have you actually been craving? Not the image, not the moment, but the deeper thing underneath all of it. And when you're ready, say it. Say what you've been searching for, out loud, or even write it down. Because even just that, giving your truth a voice, that's how it begins. And if this message met your shadow in some way and you want to help keep this kind of work going, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and support however you can. Not because I said something new, but because I reminded you of what you've always known. You were never really addicted to her. You were addicted to the feeling of being whole. Now, give that wholeness back to yourself. Thanks for watching. We will see you in the next video. Until then, take care and goodbye.